That's exactly, you hit it on the nail on the head, Ed. There is what we call a grid operating plan, which is where we schedule NGCP together with all the power plants connected to the transmission system would come together and plan, lay out the maintenance schedules throughout the year with the end view that hindi sila magsasabay-sabay and walang pagkakataon na magkakaroon ng pagkukulang. No? So dapat hindi sila magsabay-sabay. So throughout this GOP that we have submitted to the Department of Energy, and the latest version was in December 2022, if that is followed strictly, then we really should not see any power interruptions or even the raising of an alert status over the Luzon grid. However, and this is always our caveat when we speak about the power outlook for any summer season in the past few years, is that what we need to look out for are the emergency or unscheduled maintenance shutdowns. Because in the past, we've seen that minsan sabay-sabayan nagkakaroon ng emergency maintenance shutdown outside of the agreed schedule. And if there's enough of these na unplanned schedules, unplanned shutdowns, baka maubos yung excess. So there have been times I've seen in the past last 3 years, as much as 4,500 megawatts have been dropped from the grid on unplanned maintenance shutdowns. And if you consider that the peak for this year is at 13,000, a little over 13,000 megawatts, 4,500 is a large chunk. That's almost 30%. Of the more than 30%, 30-40% of your demand. So again, the nature of an unplanned or emergency shutdown is that you don't know what's going to happen. Like any piece of machinery, this can happen anytime. So that's what we really have to look out for.
Attorney Cynthia, the way we are seeing this, mas malaki po talaga yung demand dito sa Luzon. I was wondering kung makakatulong po ba yung if ever there are excess, sobra sa Mindanao and Visayas grid. Pwede ba po ba yun matransfer yung excess supply na yun from Mindanao to Luzon? Is that even possible?
Yeah, that's a good observation, because Luzon is 70% of the Philippines. So really, the bulk of the consumption of power is in Luzon. But ironically, that proportion isn't followed as regards supply. Right now, there is an existing interconnection facility between the Visayas grid and Luzon. So there's actually sharing going on between the two grids currently in place. And ang magandang dynamic dyan is that yung paghihiraman ng Visayas at Luzon coincides with their offsetting peak. So ang peak ng Luzon happens at 2 p.m. in the afternoon where Visayas has an excess. So nagpapahiram si Visayas sa Luzon during the daytime peak. And in the evening, when the demand in Luzon wanes, nakakapagpahiram naman siya sa Visayas. All things being equal, that happens. You earlier mentioned NGCP's, one of our biggest projects, the Mindanao-Visayas interconnection project. When that is operational, there will allow sharing between now, in theory, between all three grids, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. However, NGCP always emphasizes that the nature of an archipelagic transmission system, ideally, each transmission grid, yung three main island groups, sufficient ang supply within that grid to meet its own demand. Kasi yung interconnections across the three should only be used for contingencies and shouldn't be relied on a daily basis. Dapat naghihiraman lang yan kung kinakailangan. Pero ideally, the ideal situation is you have enough in Luzon to meet its own demand, and same with Visayas and Mindanao.
Ma'am, just last night or yesterday, we had a conversation with Yusek Wimpy Fentabella of DOE, and he said something interesting. I wonder if you could shed light to this. Parang sabi niya, the biggest problem with maintaining power plants is not exactly the maintenance itself. It's when the power plants are not able to go on cruise control. I suppose by that he means na paiba-iba o ang laki ng variance ng demand versus supply. I don't know if I understood that correctly. But in the end, when you look at how power plants are and when they break down, normally what's the cause of the breakdown of power plants?
Unfortunately, I'm not competent to talk about power plants because as transmission service provider, we don't have an interest in any of the power plants. We really just manage the grid. We do have access though to their reports, and it differs from one report to another. So the most popular I've seen are what they call boiler tube leaks, but I don't really understand what that means, no. But again, maybe the Department of Energy is really the right person to talk about the maintenance problems or the variances, maintenance variances of the power plants.